Hey, what's up everyone? It's Rinku, and today I want to talk about why the Dark Knight nerf is actually more of a buff. So if you guys haven't seen it already, I already made a video yesterday actually on my initial opinions and reactions on this change, but I had not seen enough videos in KR to really make my opinion, and I also spent 10 hours on live stream literally answering the same question over and over, how I felt about the Dark Knight changes in Korea. And now, with the help of one of the best Korean Dark Knight video makers on YouTube, Doc B, I can actually say I think the buff is even more significant than I originally thought it was, and I'm really happy to show this video. I'm really happy they made a video in Korea showing the changes up close and personal because I don't have access to such a high level Dark Knight on that server. And before we even look at the video, I do want to just elaborate on the changes once more. Just to be clear on what the changes actually are, there are only three changes. Three total changes for Dark Knight. The first one is we lost one iframe. On our forward dash, it used to be super armor, invincibility, super armor, now it's just super armor. Which makes sense because even when you got out of the iframe, you were still vulnerable in that skill because it had super armor at the end, so it makes sense that the whole skill is super armor. Now, it is only one iframe that we lose, no more than that at all, just that one. We also gained infinite side dashes. Now this does not have an iframe, but it does not take the iframe away from the original side dash. We have our side dash, which is dusk, and also our second side dash, which is chain dusk. We can still use those, they still have iframes, but now we can use them while they're on their cooldown without the iframe, and also, very significant, without the stamina cost that was added. Now the third change is the stamina cost. Now there is a stamina cost to dusk and chain dusk, and that should sound like a nerf. However, there is no stamina cost on using it on cooldown, which means we can infinitely teleport without losing stamina. They also made it so you can't gain stamina on awakening attacks, and yes, this sounds pretty bad because you think if you run out of stamina you're probably screwed, which is probably correct, but if we look at this video, we have stamina for days. I'd say the trade-off to give away stamina for infinite dashes is well worth it. This is honestly a buff in my opinion, especially even for PvP. It adds utility. Even though you're vulnerable while you teleport, most likely you're not going to be teleporting infinitely while you're next to the opponent. It's going back to the exact example I showed in my last video, where I showed the Korean video of the Dark Knight dying. That was just an example of what not to do on a Dark Knight. You should never do that, ever. You should never infinitely side dash while you're near an opponent, especially by a ranger. But the fact that we have this and we didn't have it before is a huge buff. It literally gives us new skills and tools to use in combat. It is crazy. So now I guess let's look at the Korean video. So this is Doc B's video. This is one of the best Dark Knights in Korea. They actively post videos on YouTube. I think they even have a PvP 1v1 video for every single class versus Dark Knight. Now they even play Striker. They know what they're doing. They're way smarter than me, have been playing the class way longer than me, mainly because they got the class earlier than us, of course, but I pretty much looked up to this person ever since before Dark Knight was even released. So they posted a video on this change, and now the whole point of this video is the stamina. I really want you guys to look close at the stamina this whole video and just look how insignificant it is. I had a lot of questions yesterday about this change, and almost every person pointed out, hey, you kind of forgot about the stamina change. And I did mention the stamina change many times, but this makes it even less of a word than I ever thought it would be. So this is a huge change, and not a bad one. So what do I mean by this? Well, you're about to see this Dark Knight literally unload almost all of their attacks and not even come close to like losing all the stamina. You'll see a few times they dash left and right like 5 times, and it maybe uses a fraction of their stamina. The only time stamina will actually be a problem is if you literally use this infinite side dash to side dash left and right like over 10 times. Like literally you'd have to have nothing else to do or literally not know how to play Dark Knight to run into stamina. I don't see how this is legit a nerf at all. At all. There's just, what does it actually stop? I guess if you were PvPing someone for like 3 minutes straight, you kept moving, and you eventually just accidentally used sidestep too many times, like, I don't know how you can accidentally use it 10 times in a row. But yeah, until I see a video of someone actually running out of stamina, actually playing Dark Knight correctly, I don't think I can even call this a nerf. So if you want to see the full video of this Korean Dark Knight who also believes that this is a Dark Knight buff, please check my description. It'll be the very first link. Doc B deserves way more views than I'll ever get. So please check them out. They teach me a lot about Dark Knight, and then I just kind of like preach to you guys in English, I guess. So I guess now we'll like go over some final thoughts, and I think that's all I have to say about the Dark Knight update. Alright, so here are my final thoughts on the 3 changes. The first one, we lose 1 iframe on the forward dash. It is a nerf, 100% a nerf. There's nothing good about that, but you should never engage with that skill in PvP, and as long as you don't engage in PvP with that skill, you won't notice the nerf, so don't worry about it. Now, the infinite dashes does not take away anything, it just adds more dashes to Dark Knight, which is insanely OP. Like, the fact that we can dash more and more and save better cooldowns for better things is insanely a buff. There's no one that could argue that it's a nerf. It's clearly a buff, and in my opinion, the buff outweighs the other 2 nerfs completely. Now, thirdly, this is what the whole video was about, this third thing, the stamina cost. Yes, because things now cost stamina and they didn't cost stamina before, technically it is a nerf, but the fact that we gain, it's literally to counteract the huge buff from infinite dashes, and also this video showed it is so barely noticeable that I can't even call it a nerf because I will never notice the quote-unquote nerf that it causes. So, all in all, yeah. Dark Knight was buffed. Though we are one of, if not the best large-scale PvP class in the game, and we probably deserve a nerf, this was not one of them. If some child on the internet claims that they know how this game works and that the Dark Knight change is a nerf when they don't even main Dark Knight, well, I guess that tells you something. While I'm still a kid, I still understand that the game was literally developed so that way you don't know everything about the game. That is the reason why there's still tests being put up on Reddit that are literally game-breaking tests that are still being discovered to this day. There's still so much to discover about this game. A lot of people have no idea what they're talking about, including myself. However, I only look at patch notes, videos, tests, and just evidence in the game to support my theory. I'm kind of tired of arguing whether this is a buff or nerf. I'm going to consider this a buff until someone literally shows me a Korean video of how the change is a nerf. Until you show me proof, after I've shown 2 videos with 2 other videos that I didn't even make from Korea that back up what I'm saying, until you can literally disprove that theory with more evidence and facts and videos, I guess this is probably the last video I'm going to make on the topic. I can't wait for this update, I can't wait to train faster and grind faster with the extra teleports, and I can't wait to see how much of a skill gap there's going to be for Dark Knights now in PvP. So I guess that wraps it up. I love you guys. I'll see you later. Goodbye.